they just fell out of love and split. I had to learn this by calling her mother myself later on to get clarity. I'd never said a word to her mom about anything in the past because Mary had warned me against it. She said I could always be open with her about everything as she wasn't ashamed, but her mom was sensitive and didn't want to talk about it. So it turns out my best friend is a master manipulator and probably always has been. I am so tired and exhausted of this whole nightmare. This will be my last update as I'm done. I came here seeking help and advice to find a way to mend a mistake I'd made with a trusted friend, but it turns out that last 7 years have been built on a lie. I'm effing done. With Mary, with everything. I don't want to see her again. I know she can afford her own place so I don't feel bad about kicking her out. I don't care what she does now. I just know that I don't want her around anymore. I think I'm going to book myself some therapy sessions after all of this poop. Final update. Mary moved out the following Saturday of the incident. She spent the following days after the blow-up moping around the flat and wanting to talk to me, but I refused and told her I needed space. Her mom came on the weekend to help her pack up her things as Mary was going to move back in with her. Her mom cleared up a lot of the questions I'd had on my mind. I'd always been told by Mary that her dad had been abusive, but her mom had loved him so much she wouldn't leave him, so she left home and was homeless when she was 14. Sleeping under benches in train stations, just so she didn't have to be in the house with him. She only moved back in when her mom finally got the guts to divorce her dad. This story I had believed for 7 years turned out to be completely fake. Not only was Mary never homeless, but her father was never abusive and loved both her and her mom very much. The reason I never saw him around was because he'd moved to Australia to pursue his career, which was the real reason for the divorce. He loved his family but wanted success even more, so he left. Her mom told me that Mary's dad was always inviting her over for the summer holidays, but Mary never went because she hates flying. The day she moved out I stayed in my room and just hid away, but she knocked on my door before she left, and I answered. I still wanted to say goodbye. She had been my closest friend for so long that it didn't feel right just letting her fade out of my life without a send-off. She asked me if I wanted the money I gave her for her new car back, but I said no and told her to use it instead for therapy. She cried a lot and tried to hug me, but I kept her at a distance. I let her know this would be the final time we would ever see or speak to each other. I just couldn't be around her anymore with the knowledge of what she'd done. She left sobbing, and when she was gone, my little town flat felt suddenly bigger than it ever had before. It's been hard adjusting to being alone in this place. For the first week she was gone I still expected to see her in the kitchen every morning, or on the sofa when I got home. It was unsettling to say the least. I had my first therapy appointment last week, and I think it actually went well. I haven't been to therapy since I was in school, so I was very nervous to begin with, but my therapist is a very lovely lady who helped me understand that Mary's lies were her own making and I had nothing to do with their creation. A lot of people said she was probably a compulsive liar, maybe even a narcissist, and she seemed to agree loosely with that idea from what she'd heard. In yet another revelation, I met with Jane for coffee as she'd asked me to meet up and clear up some details. She told me she'd been wondering about why Mary would make me the target of her abuse story and started asking people in her office about the things Mary had said about me in the past. One that stood out was a painter. They work in art restoration and distribution, who used his art as a means of channeling his traumatic history with his abusive stepmother. Apparently, Mary had taken quite a liking to him, and so she had first told him about her abuse as a way of getting closer to him. She'd mentioned fancy